My name's Jill Doucette. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's actually been on my bucket list to do a TEDx talk, more specifically just to stand on this red carpet. So anything after this is a bonus in my mind. So my speech coach said if I get nervous, just to start telling a story. So my story starts on campus. And it started living in a bit of a divide. On the one hand, I had a business, and on the other hand, I was taking environmental studies. And this was quite awkward at that time. I couldn't afford university when I was 17, and I was too young to get a student loan. So I started the easiest company that there is to start at that age with not much skill, which is a painting company. And we had old trucks and ladders, and we were pouring paint down downspouts because that was okay then. And I was also in environmental science, learning about how businesses are destroying the planet, especially big trucks and carbon emissions, and basically people like me. And I was thinking, this sucks because I want to build something. I want to build my own career. I want to be in business, but I also want to make a difference in the world. So I spent a couple years struggling in this divide and decided to sell all the equipment from the painting company, close it down. I was getting burnt out anyways. And I also dropped out of school because I was finding that it was making me really depressed, the rhetoric of corporations destroying the planet and yet my passion being in business. So I decided to clear the slate, and I started working at a coffee shop and volunteering for different nonprofits, anything that piqued my interest, anything that sparked passion and basically didn't make me depressed. And I ended up getting involved with a group on campus that was working to make the University of Victoria carbon neutral. And this really fascinated me, this concept of we can use organizations to create change. And I thought, could we apply this to business? So I asked my boss at the coffee shop, Dave, if I could make his coffee shop carbon neutral. And his response wasn't entirely positive at first. He said, I'm going to die in 40 years. Why do I care? So that was a rough starting point. And he challenged me to tell him what the business case was for him. And this is in 2007, 2008. So this is not really the right time to be adding a bunch of costs to a business. They're thinking, no, cut. So I had to find some sort of common ground between business and sustainability. So I pitched it again and said, what if this was a differentiator? What if we could make you the most popular coffee shop in town? And that piqued his interest. And he said, okay, maybe you have something here. And he was a smart guy. He was very progressive, so he saw the benefit. So it was a year-long journey. We made the coffee shop carbon neutral. We reduced the energy and water costs. We also had really great staff retention. This was an unexpected benefit. People were staying around twice as long. And that's a huge differentiator in the hospitality industry. We were also able to slash the marketing budget because it was getting a ton of free press, and customer loyalty was up. So we found that ingraining sustainability into an organization and doing it strategically can be better for business. And this started to break apart that false dichotomy between business and the environment. So I had my case study, and then the next business came in and said, hey, I have a large coffee roasting company. Can you help me make it carbon neutral? And I said, sure. And we got started, and we started making reductions to their carbon footprint. And I sent him my first invoice. And I found it a couple months ago, and it has Old English font. It doesn't even say invoice at the top. It has clip art all around the sides, like I was trying to design it, but clearly had no idea what I was doing and only had pages on my computer. And then it just said at the bottom, please make check to Jill. And they said, we can't just write a check to Jill. Like, you got to start a business or something. And that's what launched Synergy. And I called it Synergy because we're bringing together motives from two different worlds, business and the environment, and having them work together. And it's been almost 10 years. It's been an incredible journey. We've worked with businesses in the hospitality sector, marinas, hotels, restaurants, fashion companies, all kinds of companies, a lot of diversity. And I feel so lucky to work with these entrepreneurs all the time. And when I think back now to those projects that had the biggest impact, they all started with kind of an awkward conversation. They all started from a place where we actually didn't really share values, similarly to my first conversations with Dave at the coffee shop. I want to tell you a story about one particular business, Big Will Burger. When I met Kaylin McNeil, it was before Big Will Burger existed. My friend Stacy introduced us, and he said, you got to meet this guy. He wants to start a fast food restaurant. It's going to be the next hot burger chain. This is right after Super Size Me came out and all this stuff about fast food, and I was thinking, I don't want to associate with that. We probably have nothing in common, and really, fast food isn't sustainable. It's so wasteful, so I don't even know if I want to go there. But I took the meeting, and Kaylin was probably thinking the same thing, like, Stacy, why are you trying to make me meet with this green girl? It's probably just going to cost me a fortune. She's going to talk about peace and love, and I want to make money. But he met with me anyways, and I met with him anyways. And we had a little tiny sliver of common ground, not a lot, but we had a little bit to work with. And his idea was, maybe this would be a good marketing angle. I think people want to see fast food as different, so maybe we can reduce our waste. And I was thinking the same thing. I was also thinking we could change the world with this burger joint, but I didn't approach him with that first. And he said, okay, let's try this. Let's try and find some compostable stuff, and we'll work from there. Today, Big Will Burger has 3 locations. They're all carbon neutral. They produce less than 1% waste. They are almost waste-free, except for the weird things that customers bring in sometimes. Everything on your tray is compostable, so when you dump that tray, it goes right into the compost. That compost is used for community gardens, which they have helped start, and their fryer oil is used for biodiesel in their vans. They've become an example for restaurants and other companies all over the world. They get requests all the time to share their story, and it's been a huge marketing advantage. They've reduced their energy and water use by 35%, so that's a huge cost advantage as well. And we really dug into the business case on this one, and Kaylin is now a champion for sustainability, for triple bottom line businesses, and making a difference. And that's because entrepreneurs want to build things. At the end of the day, they want to create things. And when you start a company, you're given one measure of success, profit. There you go. Go start your business. So naturally, that's your measure of success, and that's what you use. But once you start adding these new measures, these social metrics with your staff and their engagement and happiness, the environmental metrics with your carbon footprint and waste and energy, you get, and this is coming from Kaylin, he said, I get the same buzz when I see those numbers as I do from having a really good income statement that says a nice big profit at the bottom. It's not to say he doesn't care about profit anymore. Of course he does. He's a smart businessman. But he also cares about making a difference. And he saw that these two can work together. So this is great. We can harness capitalism to create change. And that's what we do all day, every day. But there is a big barrier in our way. And it isn't technology, and it isn't regulation. It isn't the ones we normally think about. It's actually a social one. And it affects all of us. And it goes back to that first conversation I had with Dave and Kaylin. And in both of those conversations, I was hesitant to even start it. I almost didn't want to go. And just a couple months ago, I had the opportunity to reach out to a business that was one of those big corporate brands, the evil ones, we've all got them in our head. And I thought, I'm not even going to go there. I don't respect them. They don't share my values, so forget it. And then I thought back to those first conversations with Dave and Kaylin, and we didn't share values either. Kaylin didn't come in as a crusading environmentalist and say, let's change the world with burgers. Sort of happened after, but that's not how we started. We started from a tiny sliver of common ground. And what really concerns me right now is the way we filter our information and silo ourselves into groups that just share our values. And I do this too. I do it all the time, and I've become much more aware of it. I have to remind myself always to not judge, to start those conversations and sit at the table, because you never know where that's going to go. So I've been looking for the silver bullet solution to climate change for about 15 years now. And not just like on Reddit on commercial breaks looking for solutions, but like 9 to 5 all the friggin' time looking for how we can create change, because I'm really passionate about solving climate change. And there is no silver bullet. There's a myriad of amazing solutions, but I do believe our biggest opportunity is to break down those silos that we exist in and start having those uncomfortable conversations, find that tiny sliver of common ground, and see where that goes. So I have to go back and make a meeting that I didn't want to set in the first place, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but if we can start those conversations and create change, I think we can really make a difference in our world. And I want to leave you with the thought about, just as a proof point, how we filter ourselves on social media. I'm sure all of you can relate to this idea of you see someone have a rant on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever medium, and you go hide, block, unfollow. I don't want to see it. It gives me that icky feeling where it doesn't radiate exactly with my thoughts, my beliefs. So I'm going to filter you out. And I do this too. I do it often. And I've realized that that is just another way that I'm pulling myself deeper into a silo, only with people that believe what I believe. So my challenge to you is to think about how you want to make a difference in the world and how you can collaborate with people who don't share your values to make that happen. Thank you.